Our next presenter is Richard Ruest. Richard is a community link worker for VHA Health and Home Support. Richard describes himself, he's been physically disabled for 22 years, and he's received attendance services from 2 different agencies in a supportive housing setting. For the last 6 years, he's worked with VHA Health and Home Support, which provides outreach services to physically disabled individuals in their home in the Ottawa region. Richard describes his presentation as an interactive learning experience that will assist you in navigating the system to learn more about programs or services that would benefit you.
Thanks, Terry, for the introduction. You know, they say they put the best one for last. If they put me in the beginning, I don't know what to think anymore. So I guess I'm going to have to just wing it for you guys. I work for an agency that had been in the, I would say on the market. We've been created in 1955, and originally we were created for just doing homemaking services, which was basically after the post-war, and there was a lot of people that needed help, and it was created by a group of volunteers. And around 30 years later, in the beginning of 1980, they implemented a program called the Attendant Care Service Program, or in those times, it was basically Attendant Care Services. And we've been doing this since approximately 1982. So today my role is, I'm going to walk you through, basically, giving you a little bit of an introduction on how to navigate the system. Most of the service that I'm going to talk to you about, actually all of the service I'm going to talk to you about today, they come on the program only after you receive basically services from CCAC. So they're not at all combined. They're different services. Even though they are agencies that are contracted by CCAC that do similar service to us, I'll walk you through the ones that are basically part of the Champlain Attendance Service Network. Okay? So I guess before we start, let's get a kind of a big of a picture, because I don't know if you're like me, but I think it's important to understand where we stand in the system. So right at the top, like most people know, there's the Ministry of Health, okay, of long-term care. A few years ago, in approximately 2006, 2007, they created what's called the Champlain Attendance Service Network. What they've done is they separated the province of Ontario into 14 different LHINs, and these LHINs play a role as a buffer, if you want to call it, between the Ministry of Health and the community. And they're the one that basically controls everything, financially, or basically will create or dissolve agencies. So the Champlain really plays the big role. Most of us in the community are accountable to them, and they are the ones reporting to the Ministry of Health. Okay? On the third line, just below the blue box, you'll see pretty much the big honcho of Ontario. It's basically how the money is being distributed. So you have hospitals and rehab center and long-term care facilities. They're the ones getting the biggest amount of the money in the ministry. So as an example, the Ottawa Hospital receives approximately $800 million a year. So just to give you an idea, compared to CCAC, which is approximately $200 million, it's quite significant. Then you have the Community Care Access Center, which you just received a good, beautiful presentation by Lise. And after that, really, what's happening in regards to the amount of money that's being distributed is all the community support services, or agencies. Now, in Ontario and in Ireland, there's approximately, in Ireland, around 80 or so agencies that are considered community support agencies that are funded by the ministry. Now, there's a lot more agencies than that, but I'm talking funded by the ministry. Now, the Champlain Attendance Service Network includes approximately 8 different agencies, and I'm going to talk more into detail. And those 8 agencies are part of that community support services. And then in yellow, I'm going to briefly talk about the direct funding program, because I'm here today to talk to you a lot about attendance services. Okay? So again, I think you saw a little map earlier by the Champlain CCAC, or by Lise. This one is basically a little wider area. It's the province of Ontario, who's been divided into 14 LHINs. Now, our LHIN is number 11. It's one of the biggest LHIN in Ontario. Okay? As if it was not complicated enough, they had to take the Champlain LHIN and divide it into 3 sections. There's an east, a west, and a central. And as if that wasn't complicated enough, they split the central part of it into 3 other ones. There's a central east, central west, and central central. So it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? However, the purpose of the LHIN is to bring the service closer to people's needs. So in other words, the LHIN and the ministry, doing it this way, they expect that somebody who lives in Renfrew or in Cornwall should have the same service as somebody who's living into Ottawa. And that's the purpose of the LHIN, is to look and mandate all those services by different agencies in order to make sure that everybody gets a good service. Okay? So, attendance services. What is it? It's basically services that cannot be done by you, okay? And it's done by a trained attendant or a personal support worker on the daily activity that you can do by yourself or that you really need help with, basically. And it's very important that you realize that those are non-medical activities. So what is that? Probably getting dressed, going to the bathroom, feeding yourself. Those are considered activities of daily living that are non-medical. It's not like you have to administer a needle or anything like that. So that can be done by a PSW or an attendant. Okay? So those are the services that I'm going to talk to you about today. Okay, there's 3 types of attendance services in Ontario that you can get. One is called the Attendant Care Outreach Program, also abbreviated as ACOP. Sounds pretty powerful. Support Services Living Unit, or Supportive Housing Unit. Those are places, I'm going to actually describe the other, in the next slide I'll describe all of them. And then you can get also the Direct Funding Program, which is administered, they're not here today, by the Ottawa Independent Living Resource Center. And again, I'll describe what it is in a minute. By the way, if you have any quick questions, just stop me, because I have a tendency to go on. Okay, what is the Attendant Care Outreach Program? So the people under this program, they receive attendance services into their own home, workplace, or in the education setting. And it's post-secondary, okay? The services are scheduled on a pre-arranged visitation basis, and it's based on your need and your assessment. Your shared services between a whole bunch of clients. I mean, at VHA we have approximately 106 clients, and all of those clients share all the same workers. That to give you an idea. And you have to have a backup plan when it comes to that type of services, because people are there only for a certain amount of time. So they're going to go into your house a little bit in the morning, a little bit in the evening, and possibly 1 or 2 times in between, if you're lucky. If you don't have that need, then obviously they'll see you in the morning and in the evening, and that's about it. So in a matter of emergency, I think it's important that people have their backup plan. And also because we don't necessarily control the weather sometimes. If there is, by any chance, another icing storms like we had in 1998, a lot of the workers could not go to your home. So it's very important that you think about that. Or a major bus strike or something like that. The professional services, OT and PT, which is occupational therapy, physiotherapy, and the social worker, those are provided through attending the CCAC. Okay? Into a supportive support services living unit or the supportive housing units. Under that program, you must move into the place where the program is actually provided. Okay? If it's a co-op, you must become a member of that co-op and also apply to that place. If you need subsidy through those programs, you need to call the Ottawa Registry in order to get the subsidy. Okay? The service are scheduled on the pre-book arranged services, so very similar to outreach. However, the big and major difference is that you have an attendant that is on location all the time. So, as an example, I live into one of them. In the morning, there's 5 attendants for 12 clients, and within a matter of 2-3 minutes, they can be into your home if you call and they're not very busy. And it's an amazing service because in a matter of 24 hours, you cannot change that type of service in a matter of what I'm trying to say, I guess, is through outreach program. If you happen to have a mishap or an accident during the day, you can be 3 or 4 hours before they find somebody to help you. However, in the supportive housing place, in a matter of minutes, there can be somebody at your house. So it's very, very, quality care is much better as far as time to wait. Okay? It's a shared service as well, so you're not alone, that's the thing. And you have to be reasonably willing to get service from anybody or any of the staff that is there. And the professional services are also provided by and through CCAC. So if you need an OT or an PT, we connect you with your the case manager or somebody that is with CCAC. Now, under the direct funding program, the difference between that program and the other two, and I'm going to briefly talk about it, but I wanted you to know that it exists. The direct funding program, basically, under that program, you control everything. You basically are the master of your own program. You have to do the hiring, the training, you pay the income tax, you pay CPP, employment insurance to your worker. Basically, you have to sign the checks. So you're basically running your own program. The Ministry of Health will provide to you the budget and an accountant to help you provide that service. And obviously, it's not a program for everyone because not everybody has what it takes to run their own business. So if you're not good at maintaining books or maintaining certain hiring people or doing the training, that may not be the program that you want to be with. Okay? You may want to give that to another agency. And obviously, it's not a shared service, so you have to hire your attendants. So if you hire 5 attendants, by that time you should have whatever it needs to provide your own care. Okay? I'm just going to go through the East, the West, and in Ottawa, who's are the provider for the other two programs, the outreach and the supportive housing. So if you look into the brown, toward the east of Ottawa, there's 2 agencies that provide the outreach program. You have the Groupe Action, which is around Rockland and Hawkesbury region, and the Canadian Red Cross, which is provided around the area of Cornwall. Okay? Canadian Red Cross, those 2 agencies are separate and they provide, again, the outreach program. However, in the supportive housing, the only one that provides that into the east is the Canadian Red Cross. They have 2 programs into Cornwall and 1 in Rockland. For the west of Ottawa, it's fairly simple. There's only 1 agency, and it's March of Dimes. And there's only 1 program. It's the Attending Care Outreach Program. There is no supportive housing on the west of Ottawa that exists. In the Ottawa region, VHA Health and Home Support is the only provider for the attendant care outreach program. However, there is 5 other agencies that provide supportive housing. And with the number of units, as you can see, there's not an awful lot. So one of the biggest agencies that there is in the community in our city is the In Community. There are a total of 6 different projects that they control, okay? And they have approximately 75 units. Now the units are not connected with the agency. You have to move there and all that. They don't own the apartments, but they do own providing service to those units, okay? Then you have Personal Choice Independent Living, which owns 3 different projects and 27 units. Ontario March of Dimes have only 1 service agency around the Rockland or Barrie area, sorry. Parkway House, which is not very far from here, they owns 1 project with 12 units. And Carleton University, which is a post-secondary Carleton basically university, and Algonquin College, they own approximately 27 units. And this varies because every year, depending on the number of students that goes there. So just a little history on the process now. If you want to apply to these programs, before 1988, you had to apply to what was called the Attendant Service Provider Association, which was basically an amalgamation of all the agencies worked together to put together their services application. So when you apply to them, you apply to all of them at the same time. In 2008, what we've done is we expand that services to cover the whole Champlain-Lynn. So now we have Groupe Action and Canadian Red Cross and March of Dimes out on the West End. Okay? So that's pretty much the story of the process. However, the process has not much changed. We do have a central application. So it's a single point of access, once again. And VHA Health and Home Support will provide you the maintaining of that central wait list for all the different agencies, and we make sure that the agency that you selected on the application receive the application, the information that you want. Okay? The process is fairly user-friendly because you make one application for 10 different agencies, so no headaches there. And it's available by mail, by fax, or on the website. Okay? What are the criteria for those programs? There are 6 of them. You have to be insured, Ontario resident, so you have to have an OHIP card. You have to be able to direct your own care. You have to be 16 years of age and older. You have to have a permanent physical disability. Okay, and you need help with activities of daily living. You must be able to have you provided either at home, at school, or at work. And the last one, you must not have those needs met by any other type of services. I.e., an example that I like to use is if you have an insurance settlement because of a car accident, usually that covers for attending care services, and then therefore you're not eligible for that type of program. Okay? One of the major criteria that we just talked about is the ability to direct your care. Because that's what defines us from a hospital setting. In order, you have to be able basically to demonstrate that you understand your disability, that you're able to train or tell an attendant what you need done and what you need to have done. You must have a good judgment, okay, and good problem-solving skills, because basically you're alone with that attendant, and that attendant doesn't have any special training per se. I mean, they do have some CPRs and all of those goodies that you need, but at the end of the day, you're the one that has to tell them what you need done and how you want it done. So you have to be able to do that. In practice, okay, you must be able to make concrete choices. So you must be able to tell your attendant, you know, this is what you would like done at a certain time, and then if there's no time to do that, then you can plan ahead to do something else. But I mean, at the end of the day, the client-directed care portion not a lot of people understand it, and it also frustrates a lot of people because when we do the assessment for the program, it's one of the criteria that will fail people because they don't understand what they're supposed to do. Okay? I'm just going to give you a snapshot of the wait list right now, and don't throw up because it's not a pretty sight. I mean, it's pretty sad that it's like that, but unfortunately, right now we have about 274 people on the wait list. Under the Ethnic Outreach Program, we have 149 applicants. For supportive housing, there's 176 people. And I don't know if you remember the number of units there, but there was, right now there's about twice as much people on the wait list than there is available units. 51 people have applied for both programs because they're trying to expand their choice and their hope. 108 male, 166 female that apply to the program. 40 are over the age of 65. And the rest are all under. And our most biggest disability that we have that apply is MS right now. Spinal cord injury is the second, and there's a whole bunch of other ones that I don't think it was necessary to have, but just to give you an idea of what type of people do apply and how big the wait list is. Okay. If you want to help for tips to improve the process of the wait list, you must keep your contact information up to date. A lot of people, they apply to the wait list and then they move. They forget us completely about us, and then we have to search for them only to find them maybe 1,500 miles away after that. So it's something that people forget to do. So if you want to be on those services, you must keep us up to date. Okay? Keep us up to date on your condition. If you're MS, most likely you may be stable for a certain amount of time and then boom, you're going to fall down, right? It's up and down all the time. So you have to give us an update because then we have a chance to update your priority as well and to give a better picture to the other agencies that this is what's happening with this person. It's very important. And be removed, especially if you apply for supportive housing, be sure that you're ready to move in a short notice. Don't wait. I mean, if you have a house that you have to sell and they call you for the service, well, if you can't move, how are you going to do that? So plan ahead, you know, make a sense of what you want to do, because if there's wait time for these programs, but if you are not ready to move, they're going to go and get somebody else. So you will not be the one that's going to be, you know, receiving the service. Just to give you a quick idea on the direct funding program, briefly, we talked about it. It was created in 94, 95. Basically, again, they control everything under that program. In Ontario, there was 720 participants, 78 across Ottawa. Right now, approximately, it's 25 to 40 people on their wait list, and 4 to 5 years to wait for that program. And they just received in 2011 a 1.7 million increase onto the funding. And they're looking at adding on to that right now, and it's going really fast. So they have approximately money right now for about 50 people. Okay? If you want to apply for the direct funding program, these are the coordinates. They will be on the website onto the application, but again, remember, it's the Ottawa Independent Living Resource Center that provides that service. Okay? And that's it. So I'll be part of the panel presentation later, and don't worry about your questions. I think I can answer them all. But I think there's one quick one over there, and go ahead.
You were talking about the waiting list for certain programs. Now, for the one supported living to move in 60 days, then you must be ready. If you are not ready in that 60 days, do you get taken off the list completely, or do you drop to the bottom of the list? What exactly happens?
It depends on the agency. Some will keep you there for up to 2 or 3 times that you decline. And then once you decline 2 times, then you fall under at the bottom of the list. But you know, you have to realize that they have to run their program. a place like the Indian community, they have about 140 people on their wait list. So they'll start at the top, but eventually sometimes they may have to call 50 people before they reach to find somebody to bring onto their program. So, it's a good question. Okay? So keep your question for the end for the panel. There's another presenter coming very soon, and we'll have a break a little bit soon as well.
Yep.